Hello everyone, and how you doing? Having a good day? Enjoying this warm weather that we're experiencing? I'm not. It's too warm in here right now. Thank you for stopping by and taking the time to watch this video. I want to start this off by saying I'm using OBS 29.1.3 to show my Xbox Series X, and I'm using OBS 30.0.2 to record all this. Now, right off the bat, you're wondering, why am I making this video? Why is she showing me this? I know how to use OBS. Well, the reason being, my father came across someone on TikTok who live streams DayZ, and at one point he was asking his viewers, his followers, how dark the game actually looked when it went from day to night. And I can say emphatically, I have watched one or two of his streams. It gets very dark in DayZ when nighttime rolls around. And I will link his TikTok in the description. So as you can see, the game I'm using to demonstrate this is a train sim. Now, I want to also just make the statement, I don't really play the train sims. It's not my wheelhouse. So if I fumble around a little bit, I do apologize. So I'm going to get started here. And before I go any further with any information, I'm going to set up the train. So just bear with me for a little bit. Okay. So let's get this set up. Now, in this video, and I'm going to try and make this as short and to the point as I can. The game, hang on. The game does start as you can see in the top left-hand corner. It does start at 0310, or if you don't know military time, that is 3:10 in the morning. So as you can see, it's pretty gosh darn dark out. I'm going to start with the filters active. As you can see, that this is currently what you're seeing. The filters are active in OBS. And then I'm going to deactivate them. But right now you can see the three screens. The one on the right is pretty useless, according to my papa, who plays this game more than I do. But you can see that the screens are kind of blown out in a sense. They're a little too bright, kind of washed out as well. Everything looks kind of washed out. You can see the HUD elements in the top left and top right of the screen are a little bit washed out. And then when we hit pause, you can also see, I'm like pointing at the screen like you can see what I'm pointing at, but you can't. The pause screen here is also a little bit washed out, but that's always something that can be corrected in post-production, i.e. editing, color correction. So this is basically set up just to make it go. That's pretty much it. We're just going to turn this one off because this doesn't do anything. Apparently we've completed an objective by just sitting here and waiting. We still have to wait because there's a red light. So you can also change the brightness of these screens. So that's the darkest. We'll just go through it really quick. And that's the brightest there. There. So we'll leave it the darkest. That looks a lot better. And then we can do the same thing over here. So the only thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to sit here and adjust the filters in OBS. I already have them set up. I already have it all adjusted to the way you see it now, because that is time consuming. It took both my father and I, because a second set of eyes is always helpful when you're doing something like this, just to, see if it looks decent. That took almost a day to get it to what you're seeing now. So train's passing us up, so we'll be able to move up. That's what I am going to do. I'm going to pull the train up just a little bit, just you'll see when I get to that point. But it's basically going to end up blocking the line so no other trains go through, just to show what that looks like. But as far as the filters are concerned, I'm just going to turn them on, turn them off. You'll see in a minute. The filters are done to the best of my ability with the options that are available within OBS. And after a fair amount of research, other than creating your own LUTs to brighten dark gameplay, A link will be provided in the description to show how to make your own LUTs. It's actually a lot easier than I thought it was. I still don't even, if I'm being perfectly honest, I still haven't gotten a handle on LUTs. So, that's what I'm trying to look for. Hang on. Yeah. We're pulling a lot of weight, so it's gonna take a second to get going. There it goes. We just had to give it more power. Okay, there it goes. Okay. I told you I'm not very, this isn't my wheelhouse. So, I'm gonna stop right up by the, well, what you now see is the second, again, I'm pointing at it like you can see it. The second red light there. I'm just gonna stop there, or red signal rather, excuse me. Not red light. I don't have to stop there, but that's where I'm gonna stop, just so I can block the line. Went a little bit past it, but that's alright. It's not the end of the world. So at this point, like I mentioned previously, the filters are already on, they're already applied. This is actually better compared to what it usually looks like. So now, I'm going to switch to my OBS window here. And we are going to go to our capture device, go to filters, and then here you can see this is color correction and color key. I'll show both on and off. Unfortunately, I cannot have this on top and use this, so I'm gonna have to close this out in between. So as you saw before, everything you saw already was with the filters on. So now we're going to turn both filters off, and you can already see that makes a world of difference. We're gonna close that. We're going to go back to here, and you can see everything just looks a little bit darker. Everything, it does also look a bit more saturated, if you will. Let's see, which one here was the cab light again? I just saw it before. Here we go. And turn that off. Okay, so you can see here, it's just a little bit dark. It makes it really hard to see exactly what you're doing when it's this dark. I'm going to actually go ahead and turn those filters back on for just a second to show you what it looks like with the cab light off, because it was on before. So let's go back to filters, turn these back on, back to here, and you can see it does, I'm not saying it's like a world of difference, like night and day, pun intended, but it does look better. You can actually, again, I'm like, I don't know what I'm trying to use here. You can actually see like the different switches, if you will. You can see the brake throttle, the brake throttle, the brake throttle. The brake lever, the throttle lever. You can actually see the distinction in everything on the desk here. Okay. Now again, with these filters off, you can't really make anything out for the most part. It's hard. I mean, you can kind of see the brake levers. You can just barely see the throttle lever, however you pronounce it. And everything just looks a bit more saturated, if you will. Unlike with the filters on, everything's a bit more washed out. But again, that can all be corrected in post-production. So now, I'll turn these filters back on. And what we're going to do is go outside the cab and see what it looks like outside. Now, this is filters on outside the cab, outside the train. Oh no, battery critical. Just a second. You can see, again, everything looks, it is very dark. Don't forget, it is 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay? So everything is a bit dark, but again, it looks better than it usually does. Okay? We'll go towards the back and show what it looks like from the back here to where the lights are shining. Go down a little bit. Right there. There we go. Okay? You can see what it looks like. So now back to OBS, back to the filters, turn these off. Whoops. Off. And you can see it's just a little bit darker. Just a little bit. Okay, let me go back around to the front. And again, you can't see a whole lot. Before, you could see the tracks going back towards the station. You can see in the distance there. You can just barely see the light from the station. And then we go back to back this way. It's just very dark. And unlike on the PC with this game, there is no INI settings you can use on console to change it otherwise. So you just kind of gotta deal with what it is while you're playing on console. So we're gonna go back in the cab. Now from here, there are gonna be some trains that come up alongside my train. I'm not sure where they are currently, but I'm gonna pause the video at this point. I'm gonna wait. Excuse me. I'm gonna turn the filters back on first. Okay. So now at this point, put the cab light back on. Or desk light, rather. Excuse me. It's not the cab light. Just the desk light. There we go. I'll turn the desk light back on, and then at this point, I'm gonna pause the recording, and I'm gonna wait for those other trains to come up, and I'll show what it looks like then, with more light from the other trains. Okay, so here comes one of the trains that usually that will, if you're blocking the path, it's gonna stop right next to you. Correction, it doesn't stop because of you, it stops because of the red light that is right in front of you, in front of me to the left. You can see it stops because of this red light right here. Keep calling it a red light, it's not a traffic light. These are not cars, these are trains. This train here is stopped due to the red signal you see here. So that's why it stopped, not because of me. Correction. Actually, right. So a little further down, actually, it's not far from where I'm currently stopped. The 3 trains that you'll see do end up using the same line that I'm currently on. You can see. And again, I do this every time. I keep pointing at the screen like you can see what I'm pointing at. The blue track here, the one that is colored blue, that is the track that you, the player, would be on if you're playing when you're playing the game, not if you're playing the game. Obviously, if you're playing the game, then you're on the track. When you're playing the game, the track that you should be on will be blue, will be colored blue, as you can see here. Seafoam green, blue. My father calls it seafoam green. I call it blue because it looks blue to me. You can debate in the comments. And as you can see here, this is the AI train. You can see the AI service name. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it because I don't speak German. Not even a little bit. Okay?
You do pretty good.
And I make do if I have, you know, Google Translate read it to me a couple dozen times. Anyways, you can see here, the blue track is where all the other tracks merge into, which is probably part of the reason this train has stopped here. So I would like to say I am both correct and incorrect at the same time, because I don't believe that is the only reason this train has stopped here. It does also have a red light. So there's the 3rd train pulling up right now. You can see it just barely back by the station. Doesn't look like it has its lights on, but that could just be it's a distance thing. There we go. Dum de dum da dum ba bum. That one tends to stop a little further back because I am blocking the junction. That's why it's all the way back there. But now you can see with all 3 trains all in a little row, like little ducks all lined up in a row. It does, I mean, obviously you're not going to have again, I'm doing the same thing. All 3 trains, you know, you're not going to have 3 trains with lights on next to each other at all times, but you can see what the filters do for the brightness of the game. So now I'll swing around to the back just to show you what it looks like with the lights of all 3 trains. Going the wrong way. I was going down when I wanted to go up. There we go. That's the 3rd train there. And then, oh, I can't go any further to the right here. Okay, so we'll go back around to the front. And I'll swing around to the back. You can see, again, this is still with the filter, so you can see how dark it gets back here with the filters. And then I'll get back in front of the trains and I'll show it with the filters off. Okay, so now back to OBS. Filters. Turn off the filters. And you can see even the lights on the trains themselves look a bit dimmer. They don't look as bright, but you can also see what it does to the surrounding area, how much darker it makes it. So again, we'll swing around to the back here. This is without any lights, and you can see how absolutely pitch black it looks. It's incredible how dark it really is. And then we go back on top of the trains. I'm gonna go again just behind this third one here, and you can see everything just looks a bit darker. I mean, that's really the only way I can put it. There really is no other way to put it, is that it just looks darker. All right. And then I'll just turn these filters back on one more time, just so you can see what it looks like. Now, don't be fooled. This is also, you're also getting some light bleed from the trains behind you, which I don't know how that works when you're in an enclosed area and you're getting lights from other trains inside your cab, but that's a different discussion for a different day. But that's really it. I mean, there really isn't much else to show, much else to do, but I just want to reiterate that this, you saw what I showed you in, with the filters in OBS. This was all done strictly with the options available in OBS. No plugins were used, and as of recording this, at the time of recording this, there are no plugins that exist that my father or I know of, and we have researched this, to do what I have just shown here. So I do hope this was informative. I hope it was helpful. Please be sure to leave your comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button, and it's free to share and subscribe. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you can get notified of when I post another video. Again, I thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you all have a great day. God bless, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye for now.